You were told that austerity and inequality, bankers' bonuses and tuition fees were inevitable. They were not. You all deserve better. Let's put principles and values first. That's why I got into politics. The Green Party is determined to deliver a fair economy that does not make the poor and disadvantaged pay for the errors and fraud of the bankers. We're committed to returning the NHS to its founding principles. No public money going into private profits. We know we must take real action on climate change, the biggest threat facing us all. Other parties trade in fear, fear of immigrants, demonising people on benefits. But to build a decent, humane society, we start with hope. Vote for change, vote Green.
Natalie Bennett, thank you. And now we go to Nigel Farage.
There are 6 other party leaders on this platform tonight. They may all look different, but actually on some of the big issues that affect this country, they're very much the same. All 6 of them support Britain's membership of the European Union, and most of our laws being made somewhere else. And as a consequence of that, all of them support open-door immigration. Is it any wonder that trust in politics has broken down to the extent that it has? Well, I represent UKIP, and we believe in Britain, and we believe this country should be a self-governing nation. We believe we're good enough to do that. And we also believe that open-door immigration has depressed the wages for ordinary people, made buying houses for youngsters very difficult, made it tough to get a GP appointment, and not been good for this country. We have a positive alternative. Let's have a trade deal with Europe. Let's cooperate with them as friends, but make our own laws. And let's take back control of our borders and put in place an Australian-style point system so we can choose the quantity and quality of who comes to Britain. By doing that, we'll give ordinary working people an even break.
Nick Clegg.
I think it's pretty obvious that no one standing here is going to win this election outright. So you're going to have to choose, like you did last time, who's going to have to work with whom. Now look, I'm not going to pretend that everything's perfect, though the country is in a lot better shape now than it was 5 years ago. I'm not even going to pretend that I haven't made mistakes. I have, I put my hands up when I have, and I've learned from them. But what you will get from me and from the Liberal Democrats is this: the grit and the resilience to finish the job of balancing the books and doing so fairly. I will always act responsibly. I'll never let anyone else borrow money that we don't have and jeopardise your risks, your jobs and our economy. And above all, I will always act fairly. I won't let anyone else impose ideological cuts on your hospitals and your schools. And I will always serve the whole of our country, not just parts of our country, the whole of our wonderful United Kingdom.
Nicola Sturgeon.
This election is a chance to change the Westminster system so that it serves you better. The SNP will always stand up for Scotland's best interests. We will make Scotland's voice heard. But I know that it's not just people in Scotland who feel let down by Westminster politics. That's why my message to people watching in England, Wales and Northern Ireland is one of friendship. I won't pretend I don't want Scotland to be independent. I do. But as long as Scotland remains part of the Westminster system, the SNP will seek to work with others of like mind across the UK to deliver positive change. Like many of you, we want an alternative to the pain of austerity, an end to the bedroom tax, a halt to the privatisation of the NHS. And we believe the scarce resources of our country should be invested in the future of our children, not in new nuclear weapons. A vote for the SNP is a vote to make Scotland's voice heard, but ours will also be a voice for new, better and progressive politics at Westminster for all of us.
David Cameron.
5 years ago, this country was on the brink. We had millions of people unemployed, and we had one of the biggest budget deficits anywhere in the world. For the last 5 years, we've been working with the British people through a long-term economic plan, and that plan is working. There are almost 2 million more people in work. It's a balanced plan, so we've invested in our NHS as well as reducing the deficit, and we've cut taxes for 30 million working people. And the plan's working because last year we had the fastest growing economy of any of the major Western countries. Now tonight you're going to hear a lot of people claiming a lot of things. But please remember, these are the same people who claimed that if we followed our plan, unemployment would go up, that the deficit wouldn't come down, the economy wouldn't grow, that public services would be destroyed. They were wrong then, and they're wrong now. The choice at this election is sticking with a plan that's working, or going back to the debt, taxes, borrowing and spending that got us in this mess in the first place. I say, let's not go back to square one. Britain can do so much better than that.
Leanne Wood.
I'm speaking to everyone back home in Wales tonight. I'm from the Rhondda, and I understand all too well the difficulties that have been faced by our communities in recent years. You tell me that jobs and services have been cut to the bone and that they can be cut no more. Plaid Cymru offers an alternative. We offer hope for a decent future for our young people, for thriving, successful communities. In a hung parliament, Plaid Cymru can win for Wales, but we can only do that with your support. I'm asking you to support Plaid Cymru, the Party of Wales, to make our communities in Wales as strong as they can be. Please support Plaid Cymru to make Plaid Cymru Wales's voice in Westminster.
Ed Miliband.
Here's what I believe. Britain succeeds when working people succeed. But that's not the way it's been over the last 5 years. For 5 years, wages haven't kept up with bills. For 5 years, the NHS has been going backwards. For 5 years, our young people have been fearing they'll have a worse life than their parents. It doesn't have to be this way. If I'm Prime Minister, I'll raise the minimum wage to £8 an hour and ban exploitative 0 hours contracts, so we reward hard work again in our country. If I'm Prime Minister, I'll rescue our NHS, hiring more doctors and nurses. If I'm Prime Minister, I'll build a future for all of our young people, saying to our young people, if you get the grades, you get an apprenticeship, and cutting the tuition fee from £9,000 to £6,000. And we'll cut the deficit every year and balance the books. Some people will tell you tonight, this is as good as it gets for Britain. I say Britain could do so much better than it's done over the last 5 years.